Welcome to the Archotechs, a RimWorld fluid ideology series about pursuing the Archonexus. Episode 33, Fire Sale. To briefly recap, last episode, we managed to get Bunny her desired rank of Countess. We did this in two parts. The first part was the Unstoppable Polar Bear quest for 6 honor, where we killed 22 manhunting polar bears. And then the second one was a little unfortunate. It was a Imperial ship crash to defend the Imperials from a bunch of tribals, pictured here. And unfortunately, they crashed right smack dab in the middle of a monument built to them, ironically. And because it was so perfectly centered, I can't help but to think they were aiming for it. But I digress. In the YouTube comments, Morgan pointed out that 2 of my prisoners here have pretty good clothing. Kelly and Mikhail both have hyperweave parkas. That brings me to one of the goals of this episode. I think at this point, having waited a considerable amount of time for a royal tribute collector, I'm going to start selling prisoners. My plan is to sell 2 prisoners per episode until I have none left. So this episode, I'll be selling Kelly and Mikhail and also selling their clothing. Knowing that I'm about to sell clothing, I would like to get Trustin and No Luck hitting production commands and trying to get as much clothing out as possible so that when Bunny goes to Lindsay City to sell those slaves and all the clothing that I don't need in this stockpile anymore, I can make the most money possible. Trustin right now desires a little bit of a scarification, and I think that's actually something I'm going to do for him immediately. I would like to maybe do it without Goro as a corpse in the middle of the ritual room. Another thing that I could do to help out this ritual room is if we take a look at the scarifications, the scarification ritual doesn't require an impressiveness, but things like a leader speech or conversion ritual would. So perhaps some of the next art that No Luck makes should be installed in our ritual room, in our shrine. So I've just drafted everybody to rendezvous to the ritual room so that when I trigger the ritual, we don't have to wait too long. So here it is. Trustin, Bunny, and 10 participants. I'm leaving Sven. Oh, it was canceled. Interesting. Let me try that again. I'm leaving Sven out of it so that he can ground pen scan, because I'm really hoping to find some plasteel. Another thing I'd like to do is to put that nutrient paste machine in here, or install rather a new one. So I have queued some of the walls to be broken down to that end. And Trustin's scar is on his bionic leg, which doesn't make that much sense. I guess we're hypocrites. Pain is virtue, but we're not very virtuous. And bringing Goro down to the corpse pile. So that was a spectacular scarification, and everybody present is going to be happy for a bit. No Luck and Trustin. You're standing in the right place at the right time. Let's suppress Raka's little berserk. And now we'll stick a nutrient paste machine here. And then rice in like that. The reason I've been waiting to build this is up until now, we really didn't have a good source of vegetables. We were pretty low. But I think with all of these potatoes, it's going to be easy to install nutrient paste again. And this will cut down on the round trip time to get food to feed them. Let's have Trustin start building that. Looking at the work priorities, I'm going to set Slave 4 as their dedicated cleaner. And then things should get a little bit cleaner as a result. It was looking pretty nasty. So these hoppers here are going to be vegetarian only, because this is not refrigerated and meat would spoil pretty quickly. I like how they installed meat before I was able to set up their stockpiles. We'll move the meat though. Hopefully before we redeem. There we go. Thank you, Bunny. I was going to say hopefully before we use up the meat for nutrient paste. And a bulk goods trader from West Hinia. Oh, that's very convenient. I was going to head out to West Hinia, and I probably still will, because I need to sell some slaves. But having them come here allows me to make a whole lot of silver off of all of the clothing here that I've pulled. And I think I still will bring these slaves to market, meaning I'm going to let them keep their clothing for now, but very convenient that a bulk goods trader was dispatched to me. And the colonist with the best trade price improvement would be Bunny by about 3%. When she's up, I'll have her trade with Bishop. In the meat stockpile, I think I'm going to add wort, because wort rots very quickly when not refrigerated or frozen. And here is the trade. Something that I might want to do in the trade is to buy more meat, because there's not a lot of things to hunt in this map tile. And now I have just a whole mountain of clothing to sell to them. Almost everything that I can sell to them, I can make back, even the Devil Strand, but I need to make sure that they can afford it. So that looks good. Make sure to haul that hare meat before any of their animals eat it or it gets rotted or anything like that. And that's some pretty good trading. So now you'll see that the round trip time to keep the prisoners fed, very, very short. Except for nobody has been withdrawing food. But still, it's a benefit. Definitely a benefit. I may need to do a forced high priority hauling, however, because just looking at the amount of resources that I have outside my wall, it's not a comfortable amount. It could definitely yield to some upset if there was a fire or theft or something like that. So Sven, I've got to ask, when might I be able to expect that you'll find a proper plasteel node for us? I'm holding my breath and kind of asphyxiating in my anticipation. One thing I wanted to check is if they had Nuturamine. They did. All right, let me buy their Nuturamine and sell a little bit more stuff. Nuturamine is one of those ingredients that will allow us to make our own medicine, proper high quality medicine, so most definitely worth buying. And there we go. All we need now is a little bit of a harvest of the cotton that we planted, wherever it is. Yes, here it is. So as soon as that hits 100%, we'll be making our own industrial medicine, and that way we don't have to use so much herbal. No luck. and Trustin hit production command. And then Sven hit him with a work drive. Trustin will be making clothing very quickly, I think. And hopefully good clothing, too. Another prison break. So we have Bigo, Snowy, Ferret, Mikhail, and Lobster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got it. I don't have too many slaves that are in the right place to suppress, but I'll do what I can. Whoa, Zleb, let's hold fire. I want them downed, but not necessarily dead. All right, let's get in with some melee. Try not to have my colonists get too hurt. Tanking as much as I can with these slaves. Although Lucid is going down, yep. And unfortunately for me, Mikhail is one of those that has a article of clothing that I want to keep. So in punching him, we are, in effect, sort of ruining the clothing that I was planning on stripping off of him for sale. So, there it is. Suppressed. Lucid doesn't have any permanent injuries, and I don't really, truly care about any of the prisoners here, because I'm not actually planning on using any of them. So, Lobster lost a leg. May that be a reminder to her not to mess with us. Also seems to me that Lobster here does not have a roommate. So I'm going to move Comarero into Lobster's room. And let's return Lucid to a bed and actually give Lucid some decent medical treatment, just so that he can get back to helping us out. He came pretty close to losing his life, though. His torso is pretty ragged. Okay, now everyone's been patched. Just about. Trustin, I guess, doesn't really need to sleep very much, huh? Helps to be a quick sleeper with a unbelievably high quality bed. Not quite legendary, though. Not quite. Let's go ahead and force haul some more potatoes, because it looks like our nutrient paste machine is sort of running out of ingredients. And do the same down here with the steel, making sure that the steel doesn't prop open the door of the mining hut. So I'd like to wait a little while to go on Caravan, because Mikhail here needs to recover. He was one of the ones I wanted to sell. So because he's so injured, he's going to be moving really slowly, and that makes for bad caravanning speed. Sorry, Lucid. Today is not your day for getting injured. I shot an emu, and the emu went beelining for Lucid's neck. Someone will help you. At some point, Maybe. I'll have Trustin do it. Worried that no one would. So these beds here, I'm actually going to forbid. And let's tend to you. So, even more injuries. Poor Lucid. He is barely lucid at this point. So the missing leg of Mikhail's definitely going to slow down that caravan, which is unfortunate, but still something I wanted to do. So I would say probably tomorrow morning, even if he's not fully recovered, that's where we'll be headed. Taking a look at my farming fields, it looks like almost all the sowing is done. These hop plants are about to be harvestable, but that means that my farmers might need new tasks soon. So I'm keeping that in mind. None of those tribals had any clothing that I particularly cared to grab. Dead man's clothing doesn't really have any resale value anyway. And there. We'll clear those bodies out. Hopefully the fire will hop to Beltrava. Brah. Come on. Hop over. No such luck. That's too bad. Well, should have finished while I had the Molotovs in my head. Very happy that Trustin just keeps making extraordinarily high quality crafts. That is absolutely going to help out our colony wealth. And for reference, our wealth is now sitting at about 231,000. It has been variable for quite some bit because I haven't really had the time to do a whole lot of wealth building as a result of dealing with these prison riots and the like. Definitely keeps me busy. An Exoticos trader flying overhead, not associated with a faction, and finding some scanned underground silver. Awesome. So, skin hardening and flesh shaping and brain wiring. The learning assistant would be nice. That would be welcome. The rest of the stuff, I don't really feel like I need those tech prints. Skin hardening is great, but it definitely makes you ugly. I would buy both if I had enough silver, but I don't have enough silver for both. So I'm just going to go with the learning enhancer for now. And that's down here, or learning assistant. And this speeds up your learning factor by 20%. I would probably say it's going to be best put in Trustin. So, Trustin, your rest needs are almost fulfilled. So next time Trustin goes down to sleep, I'm going to install it. The reason in Trustin is when you're a crafter and a constructor, you're constantly losing skill. As you can see, just mousing over this, 27, 23, 19. So you have to constantly commit to your craft. And the faster that Trustin learns, the more easily I'm going to hold on to level 20. So that's why I think it's probably best in him, because he's always having to relearn how to do crafting and construction to stay at the top of his form and at the top of his game. We scanned some silver underground. open for plasteel, and yet another masterwork. Masterworks are becoming increasingly common. All of this was just to try to make the map tile nice, tidy, and clean, and we've pretty much done that. It's looking really nice. Getting all the blood out. If you're wondering if there's a point to this, there isn't. It's just a show of wealth and opulence that I can have so many slaves that I have a clean desert. That is a lot of masterworks. All right, why aren't my slaves eating? That's my next question. So, Bunny, are you ready? Yeah, it looks like you're ready. So Bunny is going to take a caravan up to Lindsay City. It's going to be Bunny, Kelly, Mikhail, Bryce, and everything that I think they're going to buy. So I'm going to go ahead and bring... I have some tainted clothing that nobody's ever going to want, so I don't really need to worry about the tainted clothing. But all of the other clothing here that isn't Thrumbo, I'll bring with me to sell. So the Thrumbo for Duster can stay, and the Tainted Toques can stay. And everything else I'm going to sell. The reason I'm going to sell everything else is Trustin can always make more of them, even if it is Devil Strand, because I have a pretty renewable source of Devil Strand. Bring what little silver I have left. Bring 18 meals, let's say, and then some raw corn and rice, leaving only potatoes, 1 bedroll, a few medicine, and we'll be out on our way. Caravan doesn't really have any additional carry weight left. So that I don't have to starve, I'm going to set hauling as a super high priority. And I'm going to have everybody, even my colonists, haul some potatoes to hoppers. It's getting a little frustrating that they hadn't done that yet. Alright, Bunny, or Sven rather, is gonna, and Zleb are gonna go back to their normal priorities. But everybody, all the other slaves are just gonna haul for a bit. So it is a 1.1 day journey. We easily have enough food for that and back. And now starts the tradition of selling off the slaves I don't want. So what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that everybody has a bunkmate. So these beds here will be for, I don't know, let's say colonists. I don't suspect they're going to be used for colonists. And then I can keep them empty for now. So we have 12 slaves left, and in about 6 episodes, if no Royal Tribute Collector comes by, we'll subsequently sell them all. Like I said earlier in the episode, it will be 2 per stream, or per episode rather. I'm not streaming this. 2 per episode until I have none left, because I don't want to have to be saddled with taking care of them forever. Just too annoying. And with my luck, it's going to be like the last day when I only have 2 of them left, that the Royal Tribute Collector swings by and offers to buy or offers the tribute for all of them. I could see that happening 100%. So these masterwork sculptures here, I wouldn't mind sprucing up our bedrooms a little bit. So we have excellent one, masterwork. Yeah, let's spread the masterworks around. So that no luck, Trustin's, Leb's bedroom all become a little bit more impressive. So it seems to me that most of my growing is done. So I'm going to be adding another growing zone to keep all of my farming slaves busy. This growing zone is going to be West Cocoa. Or cacao. There it is. And I'll lower the haul priorities again so that we can start farming and doing other tasks. I have a pretty decent amount of potatoes now stocked up. The kicker is these are sort of rotting in the field. I actually take it back. I'm going to keep hauling. So I really don't want my crops to rot in the fields. So Trustin has managed to get through almost all of our backlog of Devil Strand, making nearly exclusively Masterworks. And these 2 bedrooms are a lot more impressive now. That's great. Woods Diplomacy. They want my prime architect, Sven, to go to peace talks with the Pact of Waslonium. That is the Rough Outlander Union. I am going to consider it. But before I do that, I'm going to get my psi focus up as high as I can, so that if they do ambush me, I can very easily just get myself out of a bad situation using psi casting. I wouldn't mind, and the reason why I wouldn't mind doing this is the way the Archonexus, and I will have a full tutorial on the Archonexus when it comes time to run it for the first time, but the way the Archonexus works is after you do it the first time, it's going to ask you to be in an alliance with another faction. So it won't be West Hinney again, it will be someone else, and it could be the Pact of Waslonium. And if it is the Pact of Waslonium, going to the peace talks now benefits me later on. So that's why I'm considering doing it ASAP, because it could actually be a requirement for the Archonexus later on. So Bunny is just 0.2 days away. Sven is spending the day sitting on the throne. And all the other slaves are hauling and cleaning now too. These potatoes don't like sitting out in the field for too long. So here they are. So before I trade with this caravan, I want to pull the gear off of Mikhail and Kelly so that I can sell it. Because if I just sell them as slaves, I'm not making the money for the gear. Now, unfortunately for me, Mikhail and Kelly are in really bad shape as far as health goes. So because of the missing toes and because of all of the injuries, I'm not fetching a really good price for them. But this was not so much about making silver. I mean, I'm not turning down silver. Not at all. But it was more about lowering my the amount of prisoners that I have, because the amount that I have right now I find to be a little unmanageable. Just really somewhat difficult to keep them in line and not have to constantly fight. So, for those reasons, I ran this trade caravan. So here's all the money that they have. Let's see if there's anything I want to buy off them. Another invisible trainer would be great. Plasteel would be excellent, but Plasteel is really overpriced. I'd rather scan for it, I think. and they're still lacking money. So let's buy a lance, both shock and insanity, and that balances the budget a little bit more. And now they're just 2 silver off. Great. I still have a little bit more to sell, and almost everything I have left to sell is corsets, which means I could easily go down to Rossesfrom, which has restocked since my last visit, and I have plenty of days of food left, so I'll go and do that. I think I'm also going to shrink down my dedicated meat zone so that I can store more of my vegetables frozen and therefore not at risk of spoiling. Pretty soon we'll have the cotton to start making medicine as well. So the drop in wealth here is just from the things I sold. We dropped about 30,000 in wealth, but I think quickly Trustin will make up that difference. Almost everything has been hauled, which is excellent. So I can switch this priority around so that they finish up their current tasks and then go back to their regular work priorities. So Trustin is idle. I probably don't have enough plasteel to invest in additional bionics because I do have some stockpiled advanced components, but there's really no bionic parts that jump out at me, things that I must have. I don't think. The healing enhancers, bionic legs, bionic arms and eyes, I think probably is enough for now. And all the rest of the plasteel that I have, I'd like to invest in autocannon turrets, but if and only if, or I guess if or when Sven manages to get the ground penetrating scanner going to find plasteel. Because we're not going to be able to make autocannon turrets without a source of plasteel. So these prisoners haven't had a prison break or a berserk in quite some time, either by luck, I think by luck actually, given how on edge they are. So if Trustin has nothing left to do at the moment, I'm trying to think of ways for him to be productive. I guess what I could do is hone his skill as a constructor by smoothing some additional stone. It seems rather pointless, and I'm not going to say that this is a productive use of a constructor's time. Generally, if you have an abundance of metal, you could make chairs or armchairs if you have leathers, and that would make you more money than just smoothing out map tiles, but I figure if I'm standing here and I've got nothing better to do, might as well make things nice and pretty. Looks like No Luck is joining me as well. But for No Luck, I'm going to lower the priority. And I have a tribespeople raid coming in. They're attacking from multiple angles, but they are not sappers or breachers. So this is a raid that is going to be very easy to deal with, as I just have to scorch and torch. Now, one of the things that might happen is they might do some damage to my planted farms. So I got to keep that in mind because, you know, I have a bunch of farms out here that are nearly fully grown. Like this cotton field is almost 100% full grown. So it would be a bit of a loss if they torched it, but given that I'm outnumbered 55-4, it's not like I'm gonna ride out into the field and die for some cotton. That doesn't sound like a good tactic or even sound of mind. So I'm getting Zleb to turn on the guest heaters. I've set everyone to be inside, and I can also put my shooters in position. I can't have Zleb in here for too long because it will eventually get a little bit too hot and starting to get burned from superheated air. So maybe one last throw. Okay. The weak doors did get a little bit of light knocking, I guess. Zleb is going to go get your charge rifle. And then my trio, or two of my trio, but three are going to stand out ready for some tribals. I'm going to spin up the turrets because the fire really hasn't had a lot of time to spread, so they're not quite as burned as previous raids. And this will, of course, use up a considerable amount of my steel, but it's probably fine. It's better than getting overrun by tribals, I think. And now the fires have kicked up enough that they're not really... Oh, Zleb, you should not come this way. They're not able to get through my defense maze without suffering some serious injuries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide near the edge of the kill box entry, forcing the would-be attackers to fully enter, and then we can take them out pretty easily. And they're trying to escape now out of the other side. I think at this point, there's really no threat left. Yeah, they're all fleeing. Everybody's going. Alright, they're going to be destroying this slate door. There's not much I could do about that. But what I will do is release everybody from their zoning, and then get all of my slaves to put out this fire as fast as they can. Fortunately for me, they really ignored all of my farm fields. They might have lit just one cotton up at the north, which is nothing. So Trustin, I want you to go outside and go break a hole in this wall to vent out the heat, and then everybody else is going to get that cotton field tended to. I don't want to lose the cotton. So now it's going to be safe to enter. No luck. Could you put the cotton field out while Sven tends to Zleb? As much as I want them all dead, the more that I kill, the more corpses I have to manage, which then becomes a labor in itself. So it's probably best that I let whoever can leave, as I'm not that interested in making my Archonexus wealth with harvested organs. And that is a lot of unconscious tribals. So, I guess what I'll do, instead of making my wealth from their organs, is strip them for clothing. A lot of this clothing, I suspect, is pretty worthless, but it's free, so got that going for me. There's even another lobster. All right, there we go. Piles and piles of clothing and corpses to get rid of. Let's go ahead and dump their corpses here. So this will be for human likes again. And now my slaves have to do a whole lot of cleanup. A little pitiful, but hey, that's what they're paid for, right? So Bunny is about 0.3 days away from Rosslesfrom, selling off the corsets I didn't need, hoping that there might be tech prints or gear that I could use. We've definitely remedied a lot of our food shortages. We no longer have a shortage of vegetables. In fact, we probably have an abundance, overabundance if anything. But no sign of a royal tribute collector. Trustin's taken it upon himself to start to recarpet the right side. I'll probably want to flip which side is the active path in, because the right side will be ready to go, and the left side here is now the burn side. So let's go queue up the new carpet on the left and flip-flop the door here, getting the right ready. So all I need to do that is to prop this right door open. And we're done. Hi, Rosslesfrom. So they've got water skip. I guess I'll buy it. They have a psychic reader that I want to buy. Another learning assistant. In fact, 2 of them. But I doubt I'm going to have the money for all the things I just... Oh, I will have enough money for the things I queued up. That's because Trustin makes unbelievably valuable stuff. So even more lances coming my way. That sounds good. And maybe instead of the shock lance, I buy gold. One of the benefits of gold is I can give gold back to the Empire of the Moon if they do visit me as a tribute collector for honor. There's also a Persona sword for fast mover kill thirst. That is incredibly strong. I don't really have a good brawler for that though, but that is one of the best Persona blades I've seen. Neurocomputation would be great, but we already have that in as a implant. So, okay, that's a good trade. So we're coming home with 2 lances, Insanity Lances, Shock Lance, an Archotechs helmet. Actually, I want to get rid of the Archotechs helmet. I don't need that. So sell that for some more gold. A reader, 2 learning assistants, water skip, invisibility, and a whole lot of silver. Pretty good yield. And with that, my friends, signals the end of this episode. Thank you for tuning in to episode 33 of the Archotechs Fire Sale. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to join my gaming community, the description of this video or Rhadamant.com have a link to Discord. Soon, I'll be posting polls on Discord about how the Archotechs will proceed, so please join if you'd like to vote in that. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel. I'll catch you next episode, fellow Archotechs. Farewell.